Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck no. Oh my god. Oh. Just watched the press conference and they kept talking about the Strait of Hormel. And I always thought that Hormel was uh, like a meat, like a sliced meat maker or something. So, not sure if there was a mix up. And then the U.S. leadership says Iran has a matter of weeks to reach a deal. So, I guess there's no rush. U.S. leadership expect lower gas prices for a little while longer. So that's good. Gas prices are going down. It's always nice when there's good news. Trump on timeline for Iran deal. I want to get this thing done as soon as possible. So that actually makes sense. Spirit Airlines is close to getting a bailout from the federal government. An attorney for Spirit said during a bankruptcy hearing Thursday. The deal is expected to include the federal government taking a stake in the troubled airline, which had struggled to make money ever since the COVID pandemic. So that could include 500 million in federal assistance, according to a source familiar with the discussions. Bailout money will be delivered in suitcases, like briefcases, to Spirit Airlines, to the lobby at Spirit Airlines. Federal agents are just going to show up with a bunch of briefcases with cash. So, Democratic Representative Sarah Jacobs is talking. She said there's no strategy or plan for the Iran war. Oh, Senator Fetterman said something bad.
to help Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, achieve regime change in Iran. Can you explain further what you meant by that?
Yeah, so Prime Minister Netanyahu has been trying to get the U.S. to work with him on regime change operations in Iran for decades.
Uh-oh.
This is
Sarah
why he
Jacobs
so opposed
just
to
called the
the
leadership
that
stupid.
President Obama negotiated. He wanted us to do a military action with him then. He's asked, other previous presidents, and every president has declined because they know that it would get us to this point where now we only have bad options of a negotiation where we're likely to get a lot less than we had before, and there's real economic costs to our alliances that are really damaging to U.S. national security. And
She's worried
so,
about the economic
I
costs
think
and
that
damage to
people have
alliances.
seen that this is something that Prime Minister Netanyahu has wanted, has been trying to get us to do, and this is why every other president has declined because it's not actually in U.S. national security. And we're here where we are with the strait closed, giving Iran billions more dollars because we need their oil to get out. All of these things that are hurting Americans.
Fair enough. It's worth noting, in this conversation broadly about the Israeli prime minister, you're the youngest Jewish member of Congress, your family living in Israel, but you've also been a critic of Israel, and I'm interested to know what your diagnosis is of your party and its stance around and toward Israel right now. How would
Oh,
you
she just
describe
asked the lady to
Well, I would explain the
diagnose the
Democratic Party.
Democratic
First of all,
Party,
we're not
and that's a
monolithic. There
strange
are
word to
lots of different
use.
opinions in our party, and that's not a
So, I
bad
mean,
thing.
that means
We
that the
all believe in
Democratic
liberty,
Party
right?
is
So our
sick.
interests are different. But by and large, what I would say is just how you can be pro-American and love America without supporting anything that Donald Trump is doing. You can also consider yourself pro-Israel and understand the need for a Jewish state without supporting any of the things that Prime Minister Netanyahu is doing. And in fact, in many ways, being a good friend is standing up to people like Prime Minister Netanyahu, who I would argue are actually
I guess she
damaging
doesn't
the
like
Israeli national security,
Netanyahu.
damaging the U.S.-Israel relationship, and damaging the safety of American Jews with his reckless behavior.
All right, Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, coming up next here in the arena, Florida. The growing pressure for Governor Ron DeSantis to redo the maps in his state to try and offset Tuesday's election results in Virginia.
When you start playing hard with all of this, the redistricting stuff is ridiculous. We're going to lose everything because we don't have you guys to fight it.
I'm Nick Robinson, and Islamabad.
All right.